5:30. Let's start the Carson City Library Board of Trustees meeting. Can we start with roll call, please?
Chair Nichols,
Present?
Trustee Linares,
Present.
Trustee Markle,
Present.
and Trustee Spanzel.
Present.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Okay, item number 3, public comment. The public is invited at this time to provide comment on any topic that relates to a matter over which this public body has supervision, control, or jurisdiction. Okay, no public comment. Okay, item number 4, approval of the minutes. Has everyone had an opportunity to look at the minutes?
This is Trustee Linares. I move that we accept the minutes as they're written.
Will I get a second?
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Okay, on to item number 5 for possible action. And this is a discussion and possible action regarding an annual unclassified employee performance evaluation for the library director, Joy Holt. I do want to bring to the board's attention that we've already scored. Jeff has already scored. So we won't be discussing her performance per se. What we're going to be discussing is on page 39. We are going to discuss our objectives. We each wrote down some objectives, and Jeff was kind enough to put them on there. And so now we can look at these and we can decide if we want to go ahead with all of these, if we want to add to it or take away from it. And that's what we will be discussing if we need to discuss anything at all. So I'm opening the floor.
Are we looking at the objectives on page 40?
We're looking at, hold on.
39 is last year's
Oh, is that last year's?
objectives.
I'm sorry, yes. Thank you. Page 40. And we have 6 of them because it goes 40, 41.
Well, since objective 1, it says all 4 trustees completing evaluations identified updating policies is an important objective, so the objective is to update the library policies and ensure they're consistent with the library's strategic plan and ensure those policies are accessible to the public. From my point of view, that seems like something we should keep. What does everybody else? Yeah.
Agreed.
Agreed.
And I think proposed objective 2, as noted in the context, says that we all indicated that Director Holt made positive progress towards this objective, and expressed an expectation that this progress be continued. So I think that that's already been stated in the collected documents as a good priority, a good proposed objective. If something's going well, you don't want to stop it. You want to keep it going well.
I think that my question would be, is it clear enough? Is day-to-day operation seems like it's a very broad, are we talking day-to-day employee relation operations? Are we talking, what is the difference between day-to-day operations and everything else? Does it need clarification, or is it that I'm overthinking it as usual?
Well, from my perspective, the deputy director does have her work performance standards, what she's supposed to be doing. And I know we talked about how Director Holt for so long has been doing double duty, and she's been slowly giving a lot of those duties that should be the deputy director back to the deputy director. That makes sense. I mean, I don't think we think she's gonna give her job to the deputy directors. You know, I think we would probably leave it up to her since we don't have the deputy director's list of duties.
Looking at page 39, the language of the previous objective, also number 2 said, more day-to-day operations to deputy director to focus on admin duties. So my question to Director Holt is if you anticipate that specific portion of more day-to-day to the deputy to focus on administrative duties and admin as an umbrella is still the case. Yeah, those little word salad. Yeah, no problem. So previously, on page 39, number 2, your previous objective said cross-train deputy director and hand off more day-to-day operations to deputy director to focus on admin duties. In the current proposed language, it doesn't have that addition of to focus on admin duties, and so I wanted to know if you anticipated that it would be more of that same kind of day-to-day operations handoff to focus on streamlining the administrative big picture.
Yes, I think that naturally by handing off some of the duties that I'm doing that perhaps the deputy director should take over would definitely free up my time to do more administrative stuff and more advocacy work and more outreach, which kind of falls under the administrative duties.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that it would. I also have some questions about this objective, but we can wait for me to ask those if you'd like.
No, why don't you ask
Seems like
someone
we're
else?
going objective by objective, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
So,
so,
please.
Okay, so my question is, I'd like to ensure that I'm fully aligned with expectations. And so can we discuss specific benchmarks and measurable outcomes to establish what success looks like for these objectives? But this one particularly, specific benchmarks, and how would I measure that I've met this objective?
I think that's an excellent, and I think that goes for objective 1 as well, because it's a time-based situation for all of them as well as a goal situation. So I really appreciate you bringing that up. Are we talking now about objective 2 mostly or objective 1? Which one are we talking about?
Objective 2.
Okay.
I have some questions on some others. I didn't mention it during objective 1 because I felt like that the time was as soon as possible when the strategic plan is over.
But I do think it should be noted in the objective.
very
because
clear.
otherwise, next year, there could be a different group of people up here or some different people, and they're going to be looking and saying, how do you measure accomplishment if they didn't give a time? And so I think that is important. And it doesn't mean we can't adjust the time because life happens. I think that you should be part of making the timeline. But I think for all of these, something should be in there, just like you said, what will it look like? How will I know we've arrived, right? I think that's important. But on objective 2, I think that Chair Nichols brought up something, I think, about the job descriptions of the deputy director versus the job description of the director. And I have not taken the time to look at the comparison, but I would think that, is that what we're saying, is that has it happened that over time, because you were saying in the past, Joy was doing both jobs. And so is it that the delineated expectations for the deputy director have blended into Joy's work because it was necessary at one time and they haven't been taken back? Is that what we're talking about, perhaps?
Maybe.
Like, how would we know? Yeah.
Yeah, that's sort of my question, is how I can, if there is an expectation of what I should be handing off, because that's true. Some of my daily work, definitely last year at this time had been had absorbed some of the deputy director's duties. But over this past year, and I think I didn't do a very good job of describing that or explaining it in my self-appraisal, that I have handed off a lot of duties to the deputy director. There are some things that still need to be worked out that she's familiar with, but those things are in a transitional phase. So we've started and we're still in the middle of it. So, so that's why I thought to get a more clear, to get some clarity on what it is that success looks like for this. You know, is there particular duties that I should be handing off that I can say I handed that off, or that kind of thing?
I think I'm just talking my perspective. It's a little hard and it's unfair to you. So it's a little hard for us to come up with those because we are not HR. We can't, as far as I know, Jeff, correct me, we don't look at like your duties and her duties and say, this is what we want you to hand off to her. I don't believe is that our call? Yes, please. So I don't want us to be overly critical or have expectations. We don't know. We're not in the library every day. We're not watching what you two do. If I were to say to you, I would like to see her handle the day-to-day engagement with the staff, let's say. Okay, I don't know if that's happening. How would I know that's happening?
Right.
Right? And so I think that's not fair.
Jeff Coulomb, Human Resources Director. You are correct. The board is the direct supervisor of the director and not the deputy director. So I think it would put the onus on the director to determine what changes need to be made or develop that plan for transition of those duties.
I think, again, from my perspective, hearing from you and hearing reports of new things that you've done, like, oh, I'm going to go to this conference, or, oh, I've got this grant, or I've done a lot of community outreach and spent a lot of time, doing all this, listening to new things that you've done, to me would kind of tell me that Sarah is left kind of at the helm, let's say, and you're doing more of the administrative things. So if we see more stuff like that, that's from my perspective. If we get the employee feedback talking about engagement with Sarah, Joy's a really great administrator. She lets us know what's going on, but she's always doing, I don't know. I'm stumbling, sorry, but I just feel like the only way that we can measure it, again, is if you're not so busy doing a lot of the day-to-day stuff that you're not doing administrative and community outreach.
That's Markle for the record. I just have a question, particularly for Jeff. If you look on page 31, where Joy lists objectives she would like to achieve in her self-appraisal, I think we're struggling a little bit with the difference between objectives and goals. And I don't have any problem with objectives because I think that they can be somewhat fuzzy maybe, but maybe when Joy lists objectives she wants to achieve in her next year, maybe those should be expressed a little bit more as goals as opposed to just objectives. Does that make sense?
It does make sense, and I think the word objective and goals in this evaluation form can be interchangeable. I think objective, you're looking for a specific outcome at the end of the evaluation period, whereas goals, it really establishes if you look at SMART goals, like how, what is the objective, but also how do you achieve them and what timetable. So I think you could look at both. I think what Director Holt is saying is she's looking more for the specifics that what a SMART goal would have. But I think that's up to you how you want to establish that and word it. But it can be, you can establish not only the final outcome, but how you get there with details. You can do that.
As I look at this, when we look at the objectives, particularly, okay, let's take proposed objective number 2. If you reword the self-appraisal objective of continue to analyze and develop more efficient and economical workflows and practices, that's very relevant to day-to-day operations with communication with the deputy director. Is that what we're talking about? I mean, is that making any sense to people?
Synthesizing both of those things together.
Well, I think that there's,
Well, I think she could do both, though, because she could continue to analyze and develop more efficient and economical workflows and practices. She can develop them, but then she hands off, okay, I've developed how we're doing this, and then hands it off to the deputy director to make sure that it is implemented.
yeah, I mean, I'm not asking that the objectives on her self-appraisal be changed. I'm just asking if we can maybe change the wording, because apparently people want more clarity on,
Director Holt, when you asked for further clarity, did I hear you correctly when you asked for, like, how would we measure this? What happened for proposed objective number 2? Like, would this look like if it were being done well?
Right. What does success look like?
feel
What would
yeah.
be, how might I meet above expectations is what I'm always going for.
Yeah.
How might I communicate that? And Chair Nichols did touch on that. How I might best communicate. I've met these expectations, but I'm unclear about how I can indicate or be both clear about the how I've measured them if I'm not quite sure what the expectation is.
Okay,
Yeah.
so it's twofold then. It's like
Right,
what the expectation is and how to demonstrate it
right.
exceeding expectations.
Because
Okay.
my thought is that it could be a bit subjective. And so there might be someone who thinks, oh, you've done a great job, you've done plenty of things, and someone else who thinks, well, you didn't do enough. And so really, what is enough, I guess, is sort of the very like blunt way of asking. Yeah.
For me, I would imagine that there was something replicable or longitudinal about how you could demonstrate this. Like I'm thinking, could you codify perhaps in wording, as you alluded earlier, Chair Nichols, on, this is what the deputy director does. This is what the director does versus the deputy director, and it's almost like a chart of some kind or some sort of visualization of what you took from your existing roster of duties. Maybe some of that is official on HR paperwork now, maybe some of it isn't. And then at the end of your evaluation period is like, these are the things I decided we're going to move over into the deputy's roster, as it were. This is why I made those decisions, going back to my personal goal of analyzing and developing more efficient and economical workflows. I'm imagining that if I could see your thought process as to why you handed certain things over, and that there were a document of some kind that would mean that that could continue being the case, because you wanted to have some longitudinal efficacy, right? Then I would feel just personally that that would be a good demonstration of that organizational, logistical movement, but in a way that I, as an outside observer, could understand your thought process.
We could have that early on. This is what, because she said there's some in transition. This is what we're also going to move over by the end of the year. So then when we look at her evaluation, she can show us, this is what we moved up. This is everything that the deputy director is doing now. This is what I'm doing now. And so if it's everything, then she totally met it and it can't be subjective. Nobody can say she didn't do enough.
Sometimes I think when we use the word continue to, it just, it's kind of like an easy way out sometimes. We might want to change the wording to say, transition significant responsibility for day-to-day operations to the deputy director position, and will reflect that on the year-end evaluation next year. I don't, it's kind of like you need to explain. I mean, if you are transitioning instead of just continuing to transition, but if you actually use an action verb to transition, significant responsibility for day-to-day operations to the deputy director positions, then you can enumerate, or you might be able to describe certain things that you can transition. And you might not even know what you can transition right now.
And I think
Because-
that it's important, I agree with you very much. I think, though, it also has to be in accordance with what's in the job description for the deputy director, that this couldn't be something that is an arbitrary decision, that we would not want Joy to be saying, well, I've decided Sarah's going to do this, but it's not in Sarah's job description.
Well,
Right.
it could say transition significant appropriate responsibility for day-to-day operations.
As outlined in the deputy director's.
I hope someone's writing this down so we can vote on it.
Well, it's not, there's nothing to vote on yet. It's very firm. Jeff, I wonder if you could help us. Can you give me, or Joy, either one, if you were to say the short version, so what's different in the duties between the director and the deputy director? If we are saying continue to shift to the deputy director, what should the deputy director reasonably expect is something that's part of their job? I mean, give me a little, well, the director does this and the deputy director does this. What would that be?
I can tell you what I did when I was the deputy.
What are they supposed to do? Not so much what is the, there must be a job description for
There
each
is.
of them. Right, so what is it that if we all did, just what we should, what is it that is desirable? Because there was a reason that this goal, proposed objective, was put in last year and this year. And we're not touching on it very much here, but it has to do with the employee comments, I think, is part of it. And from last year, this year, I'm not sure exactly, but we must have all had some common thing. But I'm not sure if that's what we're talking about or something else that we're talking about. So what are the two jobs in a nutshell? What are the two jobs?
I feel like the reason I said that about being the, what I did is because I feel like I did a pretty standard deputy director position, at least in my experience, because I was a deputy director at another library. So a really important part of what a deputy director does is handle the human resources piece in terms of getting all of that set up when someone comes on board, making sure that all of those, when we're setting interviews, and does all of the intricacies with that, make sure that everything's getting set up in with human resources correctly, and really just handling that frontline human resources stuff and working with the managers to some extent when dealing with making sure that the employees have been properly onboarded. Also, that person takes care of providing budgetary or helping, working in tandem with me. And that's a lot of what the job description says, is working with the director to perform these duties as support to the director. So they look very similar. The job descriptions look really similar. The deputy is also meant to step in as acting director when I'm gone. But one of the things that Sarah can help with, and deputies help with, is sitting down and keeping track of the budget and figuring out with me where we're at with the budget. and then making sure that we're staying on track with that. And she will check in with the different managers and make sure that they're aware of where we're at with the budget. So for example, we're coming down to the end of the fiscal year. So she's making sure that all of the managers know that we're coming down to the end of the fiscal year, making sure that we're about to wrap up our book purchasing when we did that in May, to make sure that we're not going to mistakenly buy something that isn't going to fit in because we haven't received a bill that isn't going to, we won't apply to fiscal year, the end of this fiscal year. So she will help, or she does help keep track of that. And then just make sure that we are staying abreast and current with our policies and procedures and making sure that we're properly updating everyone about what we've talked about and really making sure that the wheels are staying on the bus and helping support me to do that. And then also she helps with grants when we do the grants, helping me make sure that those are getting spent correctly and checking in with the staff that are meant to be engaged in that and purchasing the items that are meant to be purchased with the grant money. So that kind of thing. A lot of it is very interchangeable with the director insofar as the expectation isn't as high as it is for the director, but the deputy really supports the director and stays informed about what's going on.
And I know you weren't here, so I'll answer it. Part of why it was on hers last year was because she didn't have a deputy director, and then Sarah was gone for a while. She had one, and Sarah was gone for a while. But we heard a lot of, I haven't been able to do this because I'm doing both jobs. So we just want to make sure, we wanted to make sure that when Sarah came back, that Joy knew that we expected Sarah to take on more and more so that Joy could do the things that we were asking her to do. And again, that's part of me, part of like my metric, how I would measure her. A lot of those things we asked her to do, she was able to do. For instance, if you go back to one, which I know we're not talking about, but this is an example. If we said, we're going to give you 6 months to get the rough draft to us, I would expect that she could be able to do that because she's got a deputy director, again, who can do a lot of the day-to-day stuff so that she can more focus on that one, once the strategic plan is done. Things like that, so.
I would suggest that we not include objective number 2.
Tell me more.
Well, I think, again, I think it's a difficult thing to measure. And I think if we believe that Joy is doing a good job, she is already working with Sarah to make sure that Sarah is assisting her in appropriate ways, is doing the follow-up work that she's been asked to do. I don't know that we need to define specific areas where Joy needs to give more responsibility to Sarah. I mean, because I think that as a leader and as a director, that's part of her job. And I don't know that it's terrifically measurable.
Yeah, that part about the terrifically measurable, I think is evident.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the success is a strange word sometimes, but the ultimate success over a time period is going to be positive employee feedback and, no problems that are coming up.
Okay, so I think you're just saying, just do your job and have Sarah do her job.
I don't think that, I mean,
Yeah.
we're not bound.
I'm not
by
dismissing
these,
it,
right?
Betsy. I'm agreeing. Yeah.
We're not bound by these objectives. are we?
No, these are just proposed. I mean, you don't have to have, I mean, you can pick and choose or develop other objectives
Right.
that you want to establish. So these are just things that we consolidated from your individual responses, aggregated into one form so you can decide how you want to proceed going
Right.
forward.
And I agree with, sorry that there's not the same situation as there was last year, where there was still some, with Sarah being gone and the transition. So I think we just need to think about whether we need to include that objective at all.
I don't mind that. The only thing I'm gonna argue back is that none of these, I'm looking at the rest of them, because we don't work with her, or it's so weird because we're her boss, but we don't work with her, we can't see if these have been met. Except, again, number one, if we give her a time frame, then we'll know. But continued outreach efforts, she can continue, let's say she just tries her heart out, she's doing everything she can, but she doesn't get a lot of feedback. She doesn't get a lot. She's trying and trying, but she doesn't get a lot more. We're not there every day seeing her go out and talk to people. But what we see are the results, and we're like, well, we don't see a lot of community engagement.
Okay, so that's number 3. Let's not go there yet.
But what I'm saying, no, but I'm just saying, a lot of these, because we are not there, we're not there every day, we're not gonna see, I think, the tangible, maybe? I'm just putting it out there. But if you guys don't want to do number 2, we don't have to.
I think before we say that totally, there's a reason number 2 is here. Jeff looked at all of our evaluations, and he found something in them let me look.
Well, but it says we made positive progress. She made
And an expectation to continue. So we all said something that, you know what I mean? And he probably tried to encapsulate it, into something so that it could be in sync with where we've already been. And I wonder if it isn't Joy's own continue to improve communication style with library staff is part of it, is my guess as to what that was. Or it was, that's what Jeff, you had to look at something to come up and say, well, this one still fits to some degree. And so if we just say it's out, we haven't read each other's work, right? And we want to be, we just want to do the right thing. But there's a reason that it's in here. Something made you say something needs to continue. There needs to be continued work on, because we all must have said it.
We might have just wrote the goal down, though.
I don't know that we would have said, I think that it's logical to say, sort of continue the good work. And, the objective from last year says cross-train deputy director and hand off more day-to-day operations to focus on admin duties. We can't measure what admin duties are being done. Other than
Sure.
it's a part of the job.
I have a suggestion if the board's interested in hearing.
Of course we are.
So, one way you could measure, of course, it would mostly be self-reporting because you guys aren't in there day to day, but you could say, for example, at the December meeting, Director Holt will bring a list of duties that she's either recently completed transitioning to the deputy director, ones that she is in the process of transitioning, and ones that she intends to complete transition of by the time her next evaluation rolls around. And you've got an objective list, everyone can agree on it, it's measurable. Of course, it's mostly measurable through self-reporting, but it's measurable, it's concrete. That might be something worth considering.
I think that's a great synthesis of what we've been talking about. I like that proposal a lot. So I have a procedural question. I understand that this is for possible action, and we're having the discussion and
Right.
the possible action. The possible action is not per objective. It's for all of them as a complete unit, right?
Correct.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Absolutely.
So
We'd be here all night.
that was my question.
You don't want to be here all night, do you?
So do we need to rephrase the objective if we
Yes.
keep the objective?
Yes, I think we need to rephrase it. so that we're all on the same page. She knows what's expected and we remember what's to be expected. um, so Adam, how would you rephrase that then? Just say,
Sure. So,
Director
I
Holt.
would probably keep what's phrased there right now, continuing transitioning significant responsibility for day-to-day operations, blah, 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 et cetera.
Okay.
And then say, pick a meeting date, but on or before blank meeting date, Director Holt will present to this board a list of duties that have been transitioned to the deputy director, duties that are currently in the process of being transitioned to the deputy director, and duties that are anticipated to be transitioned to the deputy director before, we'll call it June 1, 2027.
What do we think? December
Mm-hmm.
meeting as the time to get that?
Mm-hmm. Because we're busy right now also with
That sounds
the
good.
strategic plan. So I don't want to plop everything on her.
Agreed.
Well, we also don't know if there's any duties that need to be transitioned.
Oh, yeah, she could come with a list and say, here's everything I've given her.
Well, yeah, but not in this past 6 months. I mean, from now
No,
to
but,
December.
right, but
Maybe there aren't any more.
exactly. So she just, or maybe she does it before December. Since there aren't any more, she would bring it to us because it's going to say on or before. She brings it to us and says, these are the duties that I do. These are the duties that Sarah does. This is why. And then she's met her objective. On or before December. Good job, Director Holt.
I think looking at through the rest of the document and some of the context provided, I think there was sort of a general theme of appreciating increased transparency. So even if the so-called list that we have just defined as part of this proposed objective number 2, even if it is not a very long list, like I still think it's worth doing for the sake of transparency and understanding how these things function within the operational organization of the library. I mean,
Mhm.
I would benefit from that, and I would imagine that inquiring minds might like to know.
Correct.
I agree.
Totally agree.
So can we go back to objective 1
Mhm.
and do the same thing?
Sure.
So prioritize updating the library policies. This is all good. Do we want it all in one lump? I would prefer to have it segmented into, like, are we going to have a meeting where all the policies come to us updated and we have to go through each policy? Or are we going to ask her to break it in thirds or break it in fourths? Or what, I know that in the past there's been there's the easy stuff that Joy has referred to that'll be easy to take out because they refer to things that no longer exist. So that's not going to be hard. But how are we wanting to receive and look at? Because the board approves the policies. She's closer to it. She understands how to write them. But in the end, all of this is intended to exist after all of us have passed the torch to another group, beyond us. So we would want to have time not just to say, yep, looks done. I mean, we're going to want to look at them and maybe have questions or, whatever, or not. I don't know. I have no idea, So do we want them all in one chunk or do we want them sectioned and?
Well, we could, I mean, based on what Adam has suggested, we could say presenting a minimum of one policy at each board meeting, which, it could be really short, could be longer, could be 5 of them, but a minimum of 1.
I like that.
That should get us through 12 of them at
Well,
least.
and then,
minimum.
or maybe then we say with the goal of they will all be done by the end of the year, because this was something from last year that didn't get done. And so that would be 2 years of something being on our website that's inaccurate possibly, or maybe it's not, but we don't really know. I am hesitant to have this go beyond this year.
You may
Myself.
not know this off the top of your head, but how many pages is our policy?
I don't know, but I can look it up right now.
Thank you.
Well, I need to add this to slate materials, Adam.
I just want to count. I want to look at them.
Your screen and look.
Okay.
But I wonder if we even have to know the exact amount, if it needs to
Well, I
get
do,
done.
because if it's, my thing is, this is just me,
Mhm.
but if it's not hundreds of pages and it's 39 pages, 40 pages, I would like to see one rough draft ahead, and giving us like 2 weeks before the meeting, so we all have time to look at the rough draft.
I'm envisioning what that meeting would be if we have discussion on,
Well, we're not
quite a few
changing
things.
everything.
No, of course not.
Yeah,
But we
so-
don't know what we're changing because we haven't looked at it. It hasn't come to us yet. So I mean, I'm hesitant to
True.
just leave the door open and say, we'll look at them all and discuss them all in one meeting. I think I would tend more towards Bets, but allow Joy the ability to determine. I have a lot of time. I'm going to do a whole bunch now, but I know I'm going to really be pushed over here. So I'm not only going to do the one, something like that, to allow the flexibility that's realistic for her to do the work and for us to digest what comes.
Well, it could be something like with a minimum of one policy per meeting with the goal of completing all of the current policies or examining or whatever you want to call them by the end of the fiscal year or by the end of is it a fiscal year? I guess it is.
Exactly.
I like that. My only hesitation is with the word all, because I don't know the totality of the all at this time.
The page count is 34, and that includes appendices.
Okay. And roughly speaking, because this is a continuation, right, of a previous goal, what % complete in going through those and taking some out, would you say has been done up to this point? Ballpark.
Probably just taking the low-hanging fruit out that
Yeah,
I've worked
yeah.
on, 25%, if not
25%,
more.
okay.
That's probably a low ball number.
Okay.
But I haven't really looked at that, honestly. I've just taken the low-hanging fruit out.
Right, as you
Yeah.
stated.
Right. So that will definitely eliminate some of this, the number of pages.
Uh-huh.
But there will be some recommendations that I will make on other policies that are currently in here, based on just my recommendations of what I think might be worded better or what I think is more applicable to what we're doing now.
Yeah.
I think that it's a very comprehensive set of policies. I do think there are some things that should change,
Uh-huh.
aside from just the things that are old. But looking at it, studying it really, I think there's a lot in here that should stay.
Uh-huh.
But again, my job is to recommend to y'all what policies I suggest.
Yeah.
But ultimately, it's your decision.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Let me ask
Thank
another
you.
question, and I don't know if you know the answer to this. Do you feel, because again, I don't want to overburden you and make an unrealistic objective. It's not like you're going to start on this tomorrow. I mean, we're waiting till the strategic plan is in place, correct?
Yes.
Will we have time? Because that's going to be done, what, in August, we think?
Yeah. August or early September
Will you have enough time after that to do it and to bring it for, in chunks?
by the end of the year?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Okay,
Yes.
all right.
Hopefully before the end of the year.
Yeah.
But that said, how would you like to do that? How would you like to review those policies? Is it a draft and then another draft and then another draft, or policies in increments that we then decide upon, and then I bring the other parts of the policies or goals to go over. Not goals, but
Yeah.
policies.
I don't know, in my thinking, it's, some of this can be done before the strategic plan is done, because some of it is just passé. I mean, there is no brick. I mean, you know, some of this is already done, right? I don't know, I'd prefer incremental. I don't even think they need to be, we do page 1 through 5, and then we do page 6 through 10. I don't even think it needs to be like that. I think it needs to be what she can do, but I'm not going to get hung up on which number of, you know, which policy gets done first and which one gets done second. But I really appreciate you saying, I'm going to bring these recommendations. Right there, that says we have to discuss it. I do not think discussing all the policies in one board meeting is wise.
No.
Yeah,
I'm thinking about accessibility, because
Right.
even though we don't always get public comment, the public is always invited to comment, and policies are one of those things that
yeah.
really
Maybe they
matter
need to
to
know which ones
everyone.
we're going to be looking at. We're going to be looking at the blank, blank, and blank policy. on
Right, so I'm
Friday or
wondering if,
something,
I'm wondering about the accessibility of that.
Good point.
And I think chunking it would be good. I also agree with you that doing everything all at once is just not feasible. So I'm wondering, from the collective brain trust here, how could we, if anything, dictate that the language in objective 1 to be as inclusive of public commentary on those policies as possible?
Well, I like Bet's wording, so I don't know why wouldn't we just go with that
A minimum of one policy per
per meeting.
meeting. I think that the agendas don't specify which policies are going to be talked about. So it's not like the public's going to know ahead of time.
Okay.
I mean, this,
But should they?
this.
I mean, should we should, if Joy is going to say, I know where I'm going to start, I'm going to work on this, I don't even know how to phrase the policy. We're going to be discussing the policy on internet usage. We're going to be discussing the policy on whatever. And why can't that go in the agenda?
I think that it would be better to have the policies presented, have the discussion about the policies,
Uh-huh.
because some of the policies won't require a
No.
lot more work. If there are, and then if there are parts that need clarification, it can be, we can recommend that we continue the discussion.
Ah, I see.
So then we would have the ability to put I like your brain trust. It sounds so flattering to us. But anyway, is to put that together, but not not vote on it in the same
Right.
meeting that it's presented.
Right. If there
Let's
was
go to
something-
Adam and see what he
If there was
says.
something that was contentious, yeah, I mean, it could be, and then, because if people are really interested, they can read the minutes and find out what we discussed, and then they're ready for the next public
Right.
comment.
Well, one thing we could do, because there are some policies that we could discuss many on a single day. So perhaps if we did a draft with changes redlined to show the public, this is what these are the proposed changes. And then we have that conversation, and then I go back and change again with a red line, so that that next iteration is identified and included as supporting materials, et cetera.
And that could be done in batches or all at once.
Well, I think that if we do it in batches, we're potentially dragging it out longer than we need to.
Okay.
So we could do, instead of this, the one objective, we could do page numbers, like 1 through 5 or 1 through 10, would, in my mind, make more sense. There are going to be some pages that are longer than others. But for example, just looking at it right now, there's, you know, a series of, like general library objectives, for example. That's on page 2. Then there is the Library Bill of Rights. The Library Bill of Rights won't change because it is what it is. That's per the ALA Library Bill of Rights. And then the statutes, I might word this a little bit differently, but I wouldn't make a lot of changes there because the statute is the statute. And so there's some things in here. I think there's a lot in here that in a preliminary draft would not change.
Got you.
We would get more granular as we would likely get more granular as we go.
Okay.
And these would, whatever you decided we should discuss, would be presented as supporting materials.
Right.
So that does give the public
Right.
a chance to see what's being, you know, if we're deciding to eliminate the internet.
And so,
People might,
that'd be
you know,
pretty exciting.
they might come and comment. I don't know.
And so that we can have the discussion, but not, how would, there is a way to phrase it so the public could say, well, this is what the board thinks, but I'm going to go next time and tell them I think that's yes or no. I mean,
Well, I don't know that if we do it this way, I don't know that we would need to do that. But yes,
Okay.
the public could come the next time. I mean,
no.
you know, there's bound to be 5 or 10 people out there who pay attention.
I'll just say that the agenda titles are always, the goal is to always have them written so that there's enough specificity that people know what is likely to be discussed, but also enough breadth to let you guys get into tangential and related items. So for example, you know, it would probably say, you know, discussion and possible action on, you know, the library's policy manual, including but not necessarily limited to policy X, Y, and Z.
Okay.
And then in terms of the motion, the action you take is entirely up to you, right? You could say, well, we've discussed this enough, we're not going to take any action. You don't have to take action on things for possible action.
Go ahead.
And one way I could be within that suggested process, and then, but also limited in a way, is make a determination. It doesn't have to necessarily be page amounts. I can just say there's this many, and 3 of them are going to be very easy decisions because they're not going to change. And then, you know, keep it rocking steady as we go forward, but, you know, also making it manageable when we discuss them. Because I mean, the point, not the point, but I think the best way to do this is have it be an iterative process. So really, what it then comes down to is how are we going to do that? Are we going to do it all at once and then draft and draft and draft? Or are we going to look at what I'm hearing you all saying that you might prefer is that if we, in chunks, look at each policy and my recommended changes and make a decision. Okay.
And I don't like the page count because again, we could say, you know, page 1 through 6, but part of a policy is on page 7.
Yeah.
So I think it's just,
Right.
I think she's smart enough to know, okay, this is gonna take up some time, so we're just doing these 3 today.
Yeah.
You know, or this will be easier, we're doing these 5.
Right.
I like your suggestion earlier, Trustee Markles, to do at minimum 1 per meeting, because that sets the precedent of
Right.
a
Keeps it
continued
on-
thing.
keeps
It
it
keeps
on
it
track.
going, but it's
When will
not
it be done?
prescriptive.
So-
And then when it would be done, I think we would have similar language to what we said for proposed objective number 2, which is by June 1st of, you know, the end of that evaluation cycle.
Would it be the end of the cycle or when the next evaluation happens? Like when we sit down, if we want to be able to give her the full credit, right?
Right.
Then she would need to be done, like it was, what was it, May 22nd, or it was even earlier this year. So, I mean, we would, if we're going to have a specific date, which I don't know that we actually need right now, but maybe we will say at the beginning of the evaluation cycle or something so that you will know where the end is and you'll be able to get credit for it, so to speak, and we'll know what to expect and say, this was the deal.
Yeah.
But if we say June 1st because it's the end of the fiscal year and the paperwork's all done, but we haven't gotten to the end of it, then we leave this gray area that I'm not real comfortable with, and I think that would maybe not give Joy.
We could call it by the May board meeting.
By the May board meeting is fine, yeah, or whatever it is that is the correct wording.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ms. Markle.
Do we feel comfortable with proposed objective number 1? Can we move on to number 3? Okay, great. I feel proposed objective number 3, I know it has the continue to, but I think that it is measurable in terms of social media and engagement. I think that, there's some self-reporting there, but, there's also documentation there that is available. So I don't feel as much of a need to be really specific about iterations or timeline there because it's more of an organic process that creates artifacts as it happens. Like,
But we want to see the artifacts.
But we do on each meeting with the
yes,
library director's report.
Then we want to specify that it will be included in the library director's report.
I would prefer
Or
not.
some kind of statement.
It is.
Always is.
Well, some of them are, but some of them aren't. And so how would we want to know that there were things that were written in Joy's self-evaluation that I said, oh, I wonder when that was. And so it could be that I just missed them. But at the same time, so how will we be able to measure it? I guess that's it. So do we want her to be specific and somehow, because if I read this and it says, if I take off the word continue, right? She will have community outreach efforts through social media engagement with the Board of Supervisors and other civic groups as measured by self-reported,
As reflected in the
director's report.
the regular monthly director's report.
Perfect. So then she knows what she has to put in. We know what we're looking for.
But what I really don't want is prints of posts. Like, I don't need artifacts in the form of like, look at this post on social media that I made. Like that sounds like killing trees for no reason. So yeah, I think keeping with the regular reports and their current structure is good. Like, just to clarify, Dr. Holt, please don't print me all the posts that you
I
make
won't.
as an outreach effort. They exist in digital space for a reason, right?
Yeah.
I have a question about this objective.
Mhm.
So you guys will do math, you'll know I'm not one of the 3. I don't understand the particular emphasis on the Board of Supervisors. She goes to the Board of Supervisors meetings.
I had a question about that as well.
I'm not sure what is she supposed to do. I mean, anytime they do talk about the library, she's there. She calls me and tells me, hey, is there any way you can come to this meeting? I'm not sure what she's supposed to do besides.
Just tell us, and maybe. She would just say, I attended the Board of Supervisors meeting, and then we could say, oh, how was the library discussed, or something like that.
Well, she does it every month, and it's not always discussed every month. I think just for me, I think her report would be really long if she wrote down everything that she did. I mean, it's a given, it's part of her job. She goes to the supervisors' meetings. I don't know how.
I will say one of my questions was, because right now I attend them when the library's on the agenda,
Yeah.
and I do that in person.
Right.
But I also, at least once a month, live stream it from my office, depending on what I know is going to be on the agenda that I think might be relevant in some way to the library, but I don't attend in person unless we're on the agenda or there's well, unless we're on the agenda. And so my question is, how would I quantify that and show that I'm doing that? And did you want me to do it in person, or can I continue to live stream? Is the expectation I would attend all of them? That's the first half of my question, so.
It seems to me that the engagement with the Board of Supervisors and then the additional phrase of "and other civic groups" would be proven in different ways. So do they even belong together if it's already a given? Like, my answer would be no, I don't want you to go there constantly. I think the live stream idea is a, effective use of time resources. And, when you're on the agenda seems appropriate. Like, we don't need you to be the fly on the wall of the Board of Supervisors meeting every single time. That's not part of your job duties, I would argue. So my question to us all here is, when it says continue community outreach efforts through social media engagement with the Board of Supervisors and other civic groups, do we need the Board of Supervisors there? Can we?
I just don't know how you do civic engagement with the Board of Supervisors.
That is my,
You go to their meetings, you don't, I guess I'm a
Right.
little confused on how would you quantify
So it's
that
the
in words?
phrasing, it's not the
Well, I-
doing, it's the question?
Yeah, because.
Oh, okay, why don't we rephrase it?
Well, it doesn't say to do civic engagement. It says
No.
outreach efforts through social media and engagement with the Board of Supervisors and other civic groups. So in other words, she's willing and able to participate in a Board of Supervisors meeting if she's,
But she's already doing that.
well, right.
I don't hear it all the time, sorry, you might hear it, but I mean, there aren't very many times that we hear, well, I went to the Board of Supervisors maybe once, but, and maybe that you don't need to. That's fine, just say, we weren't on the agenda, I didn't go. Fine.
So would you prefer that I clarify that every report, that I didn't go to the Board of Supervisors meeting that month or that week because we weren't on the agenda? Or would you rather I continue to put on my report when I have attended the meeting because we were on the agenda?
that.
Yes, I'd rather have an
That'd be
action-
fine.
An action item.
Okay. So how I'm doing it now?
Yes.
Because we don't, I don't appear in front of the Board of Supervisors very often. So that is true. I don't have a lot of, there just isn't a lot of need for me to, and we're not on the agenda. So you would rather I continue to do it as I am, which is report when I've gone to the meeting and why.
Yes.
Okay. And then, can I ask another question
Please.
about the civic organizations? So my question was, do you have a particular civic organization in mind with an expectation of how often I should attend those types of meetings or events?
I can just speak for myself. When I was reading through this and I was reading it, your job duties, and I said to myself, well, that's wonderful. And sometimes, I would think the last month you'd listed places you went. And I thought, well, that's great. I wonder how often she does that, or I wonder how that goes. And that was wonderful. You did it. And I think that that's just part of, it's in your job duties that you are doing those things. I don't think I'm not going to tell you who you should go and be with. It seems to me you are the face of the library. Where are you going? Who are you, who did you see this month? That kind of thing. I don't know. It wouldn't occur to me to tell you which group to go to.
We could add something like including membership in Rotary or a particularly visible community organization. I think that it looks good to have, for the library director to participate in those civic organizations. And I know you've done some things, but, if we, in order to specify or to create benchmarks, if there was a membership in, I don't know, you could say 2 organizations or 1, or, there's any number of,
So would becoming a member of an organization be like the kind of evidence for community outreach that we're looking for? Because when I read this, I imagined more of that kind of connective tissue work of, connecting with people. I guess I'm confused as, are we asking the director to enroll as a member of certain organizations as a method of outreach?
well, in my experience, um, people join those civic organizations, and I have never been a member of the Rotary, but it's an opportunity to network, to talk to people who are, involved in the community, and gives a library director the opportunity to, get to know people on a more personal basis, with a perhaps a chance to, maybe there's a grant opportunity or a, program opportunity that was not visible to the overall broad community.
So are we imagining that Director Holt would go to these sorts of things like within the job day's hours? Like, okay, there's a meeting for such and such group happening. As part of her goal for community outreach, she's going to attend that meeting and talk about what the library is doing and how they might be able to connect together. But I just want to make sure that we're not dictating things outside of the scope of, professional working hours and professional responsibility. Like, I agree that the outreach is good, but like, to what extent, I think, matters
Jeff,
within
do you have an opinion on that?
working hours.
I really don't. I think it's just up to you what directives you want to provide, and tie it to her duties as the director. But
Yeah, to
And
me,
I'd
it's,
just say, as an employer, we shouldn't be requiring membership in any particular organization.
Yeah.
yeah, I was, my perspective is just not requiring membership in a particular organization. It's a symbol of the status of the library director and the library in the community. I know that's library talk.
No, I think
Maybe.
that's true,
I mean,
and-
by the library director in a community like this. Okay, I'm going to start getting philosophical, but it's, to me, it's important. It's important to be visible. It's important to know the important people. Does that mean you have to join an organization and go to, 3 meetings a month? No, it doesn't mean that. But I think that the library director position is a significant position in a community like this and should be valued and treated that way by the professional librarian who is serving as the library director. Like I said, I get philosophical at times. You
So
don't have to listen
how?
to me.
So no, I think I hear you. So my question goes back to the iterative question that we've had all evening, which is how do we ask for evidence of this in writing?
Well,
as a proposed
possibly in a
objective?
report, Joy can tell us that she went to a Rotary Club meeting. She was invited, she called them, she was invited to a Rotary Club meeting to speak, and let them know what's going on at the library and kind of network that way, but we don't lock her into having to become a member, or maybe she finds out, like that says, maybe she finds out this is actually a really great idea and I met some great people, so I'm going to go ahead and join.
Okay, so we could add language at the end here that says these efforts should be included in regular director's reports. Maybe not necessarily every meeting, but what, quarterly?
Well, they have been in the regular reports. I mean,
Right.
if Joy goes to speak at an organization, it's reported in the
Yeah.
regular reports
Right.
that we get.
Keep that
Be
going.
hesitant to make it less, but at the same time, I think the thing that we want is to encourage Joy to be that public face and to have people aware of the library and to have us be in the conversation, to know the people who will recommend, oh, you could go to the library and do this, right? Just to be more, you know, we talked about when we did the 5-year plan and nobody came to the meetings. So those are the things that we want to, that could key us to the fact that we need to be, I don't know if we need to be more visible, but it's not really a cause and effect. I just want to encourage active participation on behalf of the library. I definitely don't want to tell you to join a group, but I don't know.
So
But I think going to them and telling us about it, that you did
do we
specifically.
need to add extra language to that effect, or is it a norm enough already that to say it as it is, which is continue, is
Well,
feasible enough for objective language?
well, when it comes to the end of this evaluation period, we will have at least one board member who's not here tonight, who will be here and who is going to read this objective. And how will they know how to say she did enough of it if we, I mean, what are our expectations, right? So here's a new person who's going to come in a month or whenever they come in, and they're going to be like we were, Ms. Mansell and I, you know, reading it and saying, so did we meet this objective? Right?
Well,
So
again,
what
I'm
is
sorry.
the objective really? What really is the objective? That we want her to be going to meetings, that we want her to be telling us about meetings?
Okay, again, I think you're a little overthinking it.
Oh,
Because
I don't know.
there's-
When I did this objectives, I was kind of going, I don't know how to gauge that.
Well, no, what I'm saying is, so a new person's gonna come in and there's a lot of stuff they don't know. They weren't here for.
I can attest to that.
Okay,
yes.
I mean, that's just the nature of the beast, and you have to catch up. What I'm not comfortable doing, and it sounds like you guys want this, is, okay, she has to go to civic groups, so she has to go, to the Kiwanis meetings? She has to go to 5 meetings, so she's gotta meet with the Kiwanis, and I believe they're coming Saturday to, have a pancake breakfast at the library, so there's one. She has to go to the Rotary meeting in December. She has to go to the Elks Lodge. I mean, I don't know, how are we gonna quantify that? You didn't, to make everybody happy, because again, she's trying to get above expectations. So but are we gonna say, okay, you have to go to at least 5? What if they don't invite her? What if she tries, but they,
That was one of my questions as well. That second half I mentioned is, again, what is success? What will successfully meeting this objective look like? So what I would like to avoid is the opportunity for someone to read this and then say, yeah, she talked about some things, but it didn't seem like a lot.
'cause maybe that's all she could do. Again, this
Yeah.
is one of those things, we're not with her day to day. We're not sitting there when she's on the phone talking to people and doing outreach, or not getting a phone call back, or not getting an email back, or thank you, we know the library's there, but we're busy for the next 4 months. Again, this is just one that I just feel like we're gonna be locking her into something that she doesn't have total control over.
I'm concerned about the implications that we've already talked about in terms of mandating membership, which I think is an absolute no-go, and also the working hours time. I understand that you're a salaried, Director Holt, but I do not expect, nor do I want documentation that you went to something at Saturday morning at 5 a.m. Like, I don't think, I'm sure you do that already with certain events, but like, I don't think that makes me feel as a board member that you are doing an above expectations job. That makes me wonder if you got enough sleep, right? Like, to use this extended metaphor. So I'm with you. Sorry, I'm wondering how this
I think to make
could be done.
everybody happy, just when you do, because Because again, it goes back to number one, you know, as the deputy director is doing all the stuff, you're doing outreach, you're gonna put it on your report. And every time you do outreach, you're gonna put it on your report. Every time you do go to a meeting, you're gonna put it on the report. And maybe what you can also do is let us know who you reached out to. This month, I reached out to blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. And I'm hoping to hear back from them because I'd like to do a presentation on the library. Or we're inviting the Elks Club to have a meeting at the library.
Okay.
Okay. I mean,
So I need to be a better reporter. I guess I haven't been good enough. I think that's probably true because I do participate in the Chamber of Commerce events sometimes. I'm a Seroptimist. So that's an organization that very much falls within this. Rotary is something I do kind of have in the works. I've reached out. And we have a budget for me to do that, you know, to have those types of memberships. So,
One example that, you know, I don't know how relevant this is, but when you participated in the leadership, was that run by Rotary, Kiwanis?
it's the Chamber of
Oh,
Commerce.
Chamber of Commerce. Okay. When you participated in that, which is great, I think that was a wonderful thing to do. But maybe it would have been good to report a little bit more detail on your participation in that. I mean, it's past, so it
Yeah.
doesn't matter now, but to, you know, keep us informed as to what you're doing and what you're getting out of it that benefits, you know, you as a professional and the library.
Okay.
So a
Sometimes it
reflective
would,
piece, is that what you're suggesting? A little
me?
bit of reflection?
Well,
When you say, what are you getting out of it? I mean, is that what you mean?
I mean,
Or
if
am
you're
I misunderstanding?
if you're talking about an event that you participated in, whether it's going to a conference, a library conference, you're going to say, well, you know, I did this because this is good for my professional credentials, and it benefits the library by me meeting some additional people or learning about a committee that I can be
No,
on.
it's perfect.
I mean,
I just wanted clarification because if I had the question, I figured she would have the question.
okay. I wouldn't necessarily call it reflection, but
Okay.
you know, just some clear reporting.
yeah, and I think sometimes the benefit is simply that I'm there on behalf of the
I
library.
agree.
So for example, at
Yes.
Rotary, they know you're there.
Yes.
It's a business organization.
Yes.
And that gives the opportunity for me, circling back to what Trustee Merkel was saying, to talk more about what the library is doing. It's implicit that I'm going to be talking about what the library is doing.
And the needs of
Right.
the library.
Yeah, exactly.
Clarify, the language that we want added to that is something along the lines of, and these outreach efforts are reported on the regular director's report to the trustees. Does that sound about right?
I want to completely rewrite it.
What do you propose?
I want to completely rewrite it and just make it concise. Because again, the Board of Supervisors, she's not, again, she's already doing that. She's been doing that. I know it says continue, but it's, what I'd like to see is objective number 3 would be the director will report to the board her community outreach. All her community outreach.
Okay.
And do we want to,
I don't want to give you a number. No, don't be specific, just all your community outreach.
okay,
So if you, again, yeah, a little bit more so that the board knows everything that
And-
you've done and that you've reached,
and if there are no groups that have done community outreach, just say that there wasn't anything this month. Okay.
you can let us know again who you reached out to, but maybe they haven't reached out back to you. Just because nothing happened doesn't mean you can't report, this is who I've reached out, because maybe one of us knows somebody and we can say, hey, how come you haven't emailed her back or called her back or something. You never know.
And when they reach out to me, I never say no.
Yeah, see?
What I'm looking for is the list of her, the job description, to be sure that we're setting her up for success by using some of the phrasing that, of course, in all this paperwork, I now cannot find what page that list of job duties were. In case we need to incorporate something. That, is it in here, the list of job description?
I don't believe so.
It's the self-appraisal. What page? 39, thank you. Appreciate that. Because now my pages are so excitingly rendered now. Okay,
Pages 38 and 39 are the major job responsibilities.
all right. I believe that what we're aiming at is the bullet on page 38, third from the bottom, represents Carson City and local statewide forums, makes presentations, so oversees the best interest of the library in negotiations, so that's not really it. But we just want to be sure that that is the one that, I believe that is the one that is the background for some of these things, right? Because if you tell us about ALA, then it's the bottom one, participates in professional library associations, but that's not really what we were looking at. But I think that might have been the impetus to get this objective on this page, is that particular bullet.
Right, and what I think we've kind of come to as a conclusion here is not that it's not happening and not that we don't want it
No.
to continue, but that we want more in the reports.
Mhm.
Yeah, great.
The director will report monthly her community outreach.
Yeah, okay. Are we ready for 4?
Mhm.
Okay. Explore technological infrastructure needs for library modernization, including director training on technology and periodic updates to the Board of Trustees. I like that this already has a measurable component in terms of periodic updates to the Board of Trustees. I also like that it says explore versus mandating a particular technological acquisition, because of course anything that involving funds is, up to further complication. Are there any changes to this that anybody wants to make?
I have a question about this one too. How often would you like the reports? And I'm always thinking of how might this be something that that someone might think I didn't do enough of, So, is there a certain amount of research you want me to do? This is the question I wrote. Is there a certain amount of research or exploration you'd like me to do? And how often would you like me to provide the updates?
I think these are longer-term projects, and I think the research required, if I were to do such a thing, and I don't have your expertise, would take a while. I would imagine I wouldn't expect more than quarterly.
Okay.
Because these are more longitudinal projects. Like if you identify that, we really need a new software for X, that's not something that's a month-to-month thing, I would imagine.
I agree. I think that when I looked at this, I was looking, Joy, at your own goal, your own, that you wrote in your training. Technology training is something essential, ongoing, particularly as it relates to infrastructure and implementation. And I think that I looked at it as, oh, this is something Joy wants to do.
Right.
This is something that will benefit the library. This is a nice coming together, the board supporting you, you supporting the library. Everybody is on board with needing this, and you have that new position
Right.
that is coming in. And so I think that that's
I just wanted to make sure that I'm understanding the expectations and that we have the same expectations of what exploration of infrastructure and technology looks like. It doesn't have to be too specific, but really I'm just trying to make sure that at the end of the day, I'm doing what is expected to meet this objective.
Right. I would like to know just how is it evolving? How do you see it evolving?
Okay.
What's going on with that?
Yeah, with that new position, I'm imagining that at least one of those quarterly updates will be like, hey, we've brought this person on board, they've done all their onboarding, and now these are the major projects that we have identified together and that they are now chugging away at. Like, that would certainly be an update that I would appreciate hearing and would be the follow-through of that sort of previous objective of integrating that person in because you identified that there was a need for that.
Thank you for that answer.
Are you comfortable with that?
I am.
Well, I can speak to number 5 because that one was mine. Because based on a conversation Joy and I had had and just to give you some background, when I started as a trustee, I went through the training for the state of Nevada that we all did. And it was really great to give me a sense of things. But then it made me ask a whole bunch of questions about specifically what does that mean to us here in Carson City. And I'm not sure if I was the only one who thought, this up is just, I was the one and it's fine with me if we don't do this. But it also seems to me it's supportive of the whole group if a trustee comes in and has a sense of a lot of the mechanics. Some of you are very big in libraries, and so for you, it's like, what's to know? It's just, it's how we all do it. But those of us who come in who are not, or who haven't been on a lot of boards to understand how things flow, I know that I asked Joy many, many questions, but apparently I might have been the only one. So I'm not shy about asking the questions. So I don't know whether this is a good use of your time or not. I'm not sure.
I don't know if,
I think that manual has been put together by a state, the state library. And it is true that library boards are different from sometimes county, the different locales. I think that what the document tries to do is sort of the big picture, whereas some of the details within each locale are going to be different. And I don't know. You want to write a new trustee manual?
is that something that she's even legally able to do, I guess, first of all, is my question. Because I'm sure everybody who gets on a board, if you're on a Carson City board, you're pretty much going to have the same training. Am I correct?
We had training?
Yeah, I was going to say,
That's,
The trustee training, but not for the city or anything, no.
you had the board training. You had,
what does that mean when you
Did?
say that?
there were videos and then there's the big,
About open meeting law? We saw the videos about the open meeting law.
I think you might be talking about the Board of Trustees training that the state library, you can access through the state library.
I don't know,
Yeah.
I got the training and they showed me some videos and I watched the videos.
Maybe it depends on when you started.
Maybe.
I guess my question though is
It's an
this
old
something
document.
that she's allowed to do? Because, Adam, can we make our own training for library trustees?
I don't see why not. I mean, you'd have to be, I'm sure that it wouldn't have a whole lot of detail about open meeting law compliance because that's my job, but I don't see why not. I don't know enough about what would be in it to be particularly helpful, but.
My question to you, Trustee Linares, is because yes, we both came in a little bit of fish out of water, right? And we wanted to do well, of course. Everyone does. And also, We did do the training that we had.
Right.
So could we amend this language to say something like an onboarding document? Because the things that I struggled with were mostly logistical in nature, and how the logistics as they were described in the state level training would apply to us here. So it was less about what my duties were and more about how can I perform them to the
Exactly.
norms and to the timeframes that are expected here. So knowing what you know, which is all the intricacies of how the library runs, I think a document that was like a new trustee onboarding checklist would be very
Exactly.
helpful. But I think a training document that is more of a tutorial-based thing, it would be redundant. So my question to you, Trustee Linares, is what kind of document would you imagine would be helpful if you could go back in time and give it to your new trustee
I
self?
see. Well, I would tell you that I'm fine with us not having this as an objective. I do not have any problem with that at all. But Joy and I had talked about it because it did make me wonder, maybe I was the only one who ever asked her questions. I don't know. Am I the only one who ever asked you questions?
On this board, yes.
Okay. Well, then we don't need the training.
But if I may, what I had reached out to Trustee Linares and said, can you provide some of those questions for me with the intention that I wouldn't be providing a training, I would be providing a welcome packet for new
Nice.
board members
Perfect.
that would say, here's who works at the library.
Yeah.
This is what this person does, and have those links to the training that's provided by the state, because that is comprehensive. It names the NRS. It kind of gives vague, essential information, and I think mostly delivers the message that open meeting law is really important. And so that would just be an opportunity to have a packet to give to a new board member that would answer some of these questions that would just make it easier
Yeah.
for whoever comes on board. And I'm going to do that either way.
We kept that objective and just said, develop a welcome packet for new trustees. That would,
Perfect.
and, I think it's implied that it'll be done by the end of the year.
I think we have to specify. If Joy's on board, I'm willing to say, Joy, do you want this as an objective? Because I was the only one who brought it up. I think it would have made my entry into this much less stressful to have a sense of, oh, I understand how this goes. But you folks have the longevity, Joy, you have the longevity. We have the 5-year plan. We don't know what's going to come out of that. I'm hesitant to overload the objectives to make it, I want you to be able to use your time and energy to the broadest advantage. If you're going to do it anyway and you want us to make an objective so that we know that you can get it, I'm okay with that. If you're saying, yeah, I'm going to do it anyway, but I really don't know when, and if you that's for me. I don't know what everybody else is thinking. It's just, I know that would have been a nice easing in to have some kind of a contact and some information. That would have been helpful for me.
I think, yes, I am going to do it anyway. I think the advantage of having it as an objective is that I'll definitely meet it. The disadvantage is the potential for the expectation for you all to be involved at a level that is probably not necessary in terms of looking over a draft. Is this, was this comprehensive enough? And sort of evaluating the document in a way that is expected of the policies and so there are my two. There's that. So those are it could be good, it could be bad, and so I think it's up to you all.
Well, I think you should give us an opportunity to look at it, because maybe we go, oh, God, that helps so much. Or maybe we might look at it, because you have been doing this for so long, that we go, there's a couple of holes.
Okay.
It still doesn't answer, it still confuses me, you know what I mean? So I would like the opportunity before you make it final for us to be able to, I just think that would be helpful to you, because again, you're the librarian, you know all this stuff. Show it to somebody who doesn't, who again, if they were new.
Which is why I asked Trustee Linares for her input, because I thought, what is it that would be most helpful? And I will, pare some of that down, but yeah, I agree with you that of course I want those who have been through it to say, oh, this doesn't make sense. I just don't want to put you all in a position where if I have to do different updates and iterations of the document that you're then required to weigh in every time.
Yeah, that seems extraneous to weigh in every time. I'm also aware of the fact that, like, in terms of the timeline for this, we could get a new member next month. We could get,
Well, we should.
Well, exactly, we should. But if that's the case, then the timeline for this is very short, unnecessarily, I feel. So in terms of putting a timeline or a number of drafts to it, I'm reticent to do that because it seems unnecessarily limiting.
I think we can just look at one draft.
Yeah, great.
Okay. Do you just want that by the end of the year?
Yeah,
By
personally.
May.
Oh, right, okay.
For the draft or final?
Final draft by May meeting.
Final draft.
The final draft.
Final by May. Because if it's going to be one of the objectives, then it should fall in the same time frame as the rest of them.
So objective 6, shall we look at that?
Sure.
Continue exploring space planning for the library to provide a comfortable environment for users. This was something that was on last time. And the context is interesting. Thank you, Jeff, for putting that on. It sounds like we are not all thinking the same thing about this. I'd like to hear what other people are thinking about it. I have heard it referred to, and I was always thinking, I hope Joy knows what they want, because I'm not sure. So what are our thoughts on this?
Personally, I think one of Director Holt's strengths that I have been able to observe from our limited perspective here as trustees is the streamlining of systems, the organizing of those systems, and part of these objectives is a continuation of that work, right? And I'm pulling some of this from your self-evaluation, Director Holt. And so when I think about exploring space planning for the library to provide a comfortable environment, I'm thinking about continuing to make spatial and organizational choices, like what you did with the desk, that maximize the space we have. And I think that we're all aware that we have an aging building. We all are aware that we have infrastructural limitations. And I think that this objective is a way to acknowledge that whilst simultaneously continuing the work of streamlining, eliminating things that are no longer necessary. And I just got the impression from some of your most recent director's reports that that was ongoing work. So please correct me if I'm wrong, that you had a vision and you feel like it's complete now, as opposed to you have a vision and you still feel that there are concrete steps that could be taken within our limitations to continue that best use of our limited space. That's what I imagined.
No, I'm definitely not done. I think that there's just, by observation, space that could be better utilized. My only question about this one was, what does exploring a comfortable environment for users look like? What is user comfort? Is it, because that seems unclear to me. Is it a particular type of seating? Is it a particular way of arranging the seating? And I'm not sure if that was what was intended here, because there are, what I don't want to find us dealing with is someone's expectation of this to be that we have, I'm going to use some hyperbole here, but chaise lounges. And, those are not feasible within our budget, but also there's a whole slew of unintended consequences from that type of furniture. And so I just want to make sure that this is, it communicates in a way that the latitude for those decisions lies with me.
Yeah, I'm one of the ones that noted that further progress, and I'm just saying, we're always talking about how we want to transform the space, may not be feasible because we don't own the building. Joy can't knock a wall out. She can't just go and, okay, I'm going to paint this over here. We can't move the bathrooms. So I think she's limited. I think what she's done is great, like, the new desk. But I think we're limited on what she can do. And so I don't know, again, how you quantify that. And at some point, you've done what you can in the building.
I have not seen any results from the strategic plan surveys yet. I don't know how people feel about how the library looks. Personally, I would like to see some furniture replaced. I don't think that we are space limited necessarily by that. We don't have to knock out a wall to get new furniture. I want to see the library as welcoming as possible. And, we do have diverse groups that come in the library, so welcoming may not be the same for every group. But, it's sort of ease of moving around, not just for the patrons, but for the staff as well, lines of sight and being able to see what's going on and to, if there's, one thing that was done this year that Joy took out a taller cabinet where the reserves were kept and lowered it, which allowed for, more light, more visibility. And, that's, I think that there's things that can be done. And I know, that there's possibility of Friends money being available to do some of this. And I just want to keep that out in front because I think it can be done. And not that everything can be accomplished, but I think we can move forward.
So to go back to the perennial question of how do we prove this, or how is this documented rather, are you imagining like a before and after annotated map or a report at a certain time? And I mean this in all seriousness, like how could someone, like to your point, Trustee Linares, somebody new see something and be like, wow, this is objective number 6. This is moving that needle forward. What would be good? Besides, of course, walking into the library and seeing with your own eyes. So changes, but given the nature of the evaluation, I'm sensitive to the idea that might not be.
Well, I do encourage the board to go into the library once in a while and see what's going on and see the changes.
Yeah.
Not just rely on her reports. Because you could walk in, she might report it, and it doesn't mean much to you, but if you walk in there, you go, oh, wow, this feels different than the last time I was here. Look what they've done. I really like, oh, wow, look at they did paint the, I'm blanking out on the name now.
I think
The
you need to
patent
take
rooms?
pictures, Joy.
The Phyllis?
And I'm not really kidding. I think
Phil and
pictures.
No,
Phyllis.
like
Phil and
like
Phyllis
the
patent
picture I took
room?
of the patent room sign.
Because I did say I would like to see that painted, but that's just me. That's just me,
Which painted?
The room?
The room,
The patent
Phyllis-
room?
Yeah. So I mean, you walk in and go, oh, wow, this looks so much better because things are, you're organized. It wasn't a list of things we gave her. So again, I would just encourage you to also go in and
Well, I will say too that Trustee Markle came in after we got the new circulation desk and noticed something that I didn't, and that was when you walked in through the front door, you couldn't see the person seated at the circulation desk because their monitor was way too big, and so we fixed that. And I mean, immediately when I walked through, and that was on my brain, I could see exactly her point. So, and it sort of negated the purpose of lowering the reserves shelving so we'd have a clearer line of sight. So people will see things that I may not necessarily see because I've grown a little blind to it because I see it every day.
So I think that we're acknowledging that we're not going to have some kind of a House Beautiful library happening. But at the same time, I appreciate also what I'm hearing, which is if we take this off, are we then saying status quo is fine? We'll just leave it as it is.
No, I don't think
And
we should take
and we
it
don't
off.
want to have it be that. But we also don't want to put in something very prescriptive. We will have 5 chairs, 3 tables, 2, we're not going to do that either. We're not going to do that. But if really pictures, before and after pictures are good, and why you did what you did is nice for us to know. And I know that in your reporting, you said that you consulted with some company to give you input, but if you shared that report with us, I do not remember what that company said to you about how you could make the library different. I don't have that page in front of me. If you wait for me to find it, it'll take too long. But at the same time, so I think we want to keep a version of this in here. Continue to explore, I don't know. We just want continued focus on, continued effort toward maintaining and improving the physical space of the library. And we want to know what you're doing because we're hearing there may be some money, right? We're hearing, oh, we go in and we see it and we can feel the difference, right? That was what Sari said, and that is the deal. You change out the color of a wall, it changes the mood. And so we want you to continue to put effort toward that, but we don't want to be your interior designers, I don't think.
I mean, so
That would be pretty
Right.
exciting, though.
I could be.
in my mind, I was thinking, what if you hate it, what I've done?
Well, that
And what you're
you know what,
saying
that
is
could
so
happen
long
too.
if I've explained it
Yeah.
and that I'm doing it.
I don't think our personal preference, though, should
No.
be part of the weight when we're doing your evaluation. She changed the library and I just freaking hate it.
Right.
I mean, that's just because I don't like that color because I can't stand eggshell and everybody else loves it. I mean, you've done, because you've met the objective, you have updated or, you've gotten the new chairs in. And maybe it's not exactly what she was envisioning, but it's new chairs and it's close. No one's going to dock you for that. I
So
think
how-
we'd dock
how-
you if you would make it so there is no line of sight. If it was worse for our employees and they didn't feel safe, that might be an issue. But
Right. And sometimes I'm going to try things that don't work out as I
Well,
envisioned.
we all do that. That's why we rearrange our
Yeah.
living rooms. Fun.
Well, and that's why I like this word exploring, because it is an active word while simultaneously maintaining flexibility for making mistakes that, need to be reoriented or just making little tweaks like what you mentioned about the
Interesting.
circulation desk. I do like that word explore as quantifiable enough to see progress, but not prescriptive enough that we are becoming a group of interior designers, which does sound like a
It would
particular
be nice.
brand of nightmare in terms of logistics.
We could take this show on the road. It'd be very exciting.
No.
So how are we going to measure it? Is this a quarterly report? And maybe you don't do all the quarterly reports at the exact same day because that would be really a long day. Or is this do we need a report of nothing happening? I don't know that we need that report. But how are we going to be able to measure it so that expectations are clear that effort is being put in not only maintaining the library, but thought is going into making it look the best it possibly can, spending the appropriate money that is available. We don't want to get into all the nitty gritty, but what can we do so that Joy can achieve it and we can say, we asked for the right thing? What is it that how are we going to use this wording?
For me personally, again, and I know I'm in the minority in a lot of this stuff, but for me personally, she's reporting it already. She continues to report it when something happens, not when something doesn't happen, because reporting a negative doesn't sound right. And at the end of the year, I mean, if nothing's happened, maybe Joy reports to us in May, we haven't changed anything in the library because whatever. But she does have plans. We know she has plans. So she's going to let us know.
So on an
And the-
as-needed kind
Yeah,
of
when something,
situation.
when something's been
Sure.
done. Hey,
Sounds
so,
good.
Trustee Markle, you said you wanted new chairs. Guess what? We got new chairs, and she reports on the new chairs. That kind of,
But
just like
there will
she
be a
has-
summary report at the end, if nothing else.
Yeah.
Okay.
I also like the as needed. That sounds right.
Yeah, sometimes it's a hard line to walk between evaluating and micromanaging. And I know none of us want to micromanage.
No.
And that's not our job here. Right.
I'd like to propose a motion to accept these proposed objectives with language as amended per our continuous discussion. I believe that that will be reflected in the minutes as recorded. So my motion is, I propose that we accept these proposed objectives as written, but verbally amended.
Is it, I'm sorry, what the protocol is. I would like to hear them. Who took those notes? Can we hear them back before we approve them? Or is this not?
I
I
did
can
too. Now I
attempt
can't
to.
find-
Taken some notes. I can give it a shot.
I hand wrote somewhere.
So for
Yeah.
let's see, Adam Tully, Deputy District Attorney. For proposed objective 1, I have prioritize updating library policies, ensuring they're consistent with library's strategic plan, and ensure those policies are accessible to the public. Complete all policy updates by the May 2027 meeting, and bring a minimum of 1 policy update per meeting. For proposed objective 2, I have continue transitioning significant responsibility for day-to-day operations to the deputy director position. Bring to the December 2026 meeting a list of completed duties whose transition has been completed, duties whose transition is still pending, and other duties that are intended to be completed by, initially we said June 1, 2027, but based on subsequent discussion, it seems like that should probably be the May 2027 meeting.
I have significant change as we were talking to appropriate, because significant sounded too much like a lot of her duties, and I think somebody on the board said appropriate, so I scratched out
Okay,
significant and put in appropriate.
okay, I've got that.
Okay.
For proposed objective 3, director will report monthly to the board all her community outreach. Proposed objective 4, I have explore technological infrastructure needs for library modernization, including director training on technology and quarterly updates to the Board of Trustees. Proposed objective 5, I have develop a welcome packet for new trustees with draft brought to board by May 2027 meeting.
I think we
Proposed,
said the final by May, so the draft would be before the final. by
it's
May.
always going to be a draft until you guys have approved it.
Okay.
Does that make sense? The proposed objective 6, let me know. I might have phrased this a little differently than you guys, but I think I have continue exploring incremental space planning progress for the library with as needed reports to the board. Good.
Thank
Do I
you
have a
very much.
second?
That
I second the motion to vote on the objectives as read.
All in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Or, sorry, point of discussion. I believe the proposed motion should also include approving Joy's ratings.
understood. Both of those can happen in one motion. Okay.
Or in two, that's fine. If the intent is to do it in two motions, that's fine too. And we can go ahead with the motion as stated.
Yeah, I'd like to go forward with the motion as stated, just so the record's really clear of both things. I maintain my motion.
You maintain your second?
I'm not adding anything to my original motion.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
I move that we accept Joy's rating as summarized by Mr. Kuhn based on our evaluations.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion passes. Okay.
Thank you for
Thank
all
you,
the
Jeff.
note-taking.
We really appreciate you.
Who has to sign this? Does somebody sign this? Do we all sign it?
Jeff, do you need one signature? Do we all sign it?
Well, I think we would revise the form, right, Adam, and have Chair Nichols sign it?
Yeah, I think that'd be fine. Yes.
Okay. Yeah,
Chair Nichols was the only signature last year.
Okay.
and so we will probably have to do that within the next couple of weeks to get it all processed by the end of the fiscal year. So we'll work on that.
Yeah, I can, and if I need, I can come by the library next week or whenever.
Yeah, and yeah, I'll work with Joy, and maybe Joy can coordinate when it's ready.
Okay.
Or what time that she's available to sign.
And Adam, does that keep us within open meeting law? Because it's being changed and then signed
Yes.
afterward? Okay.
As long as it's consistent with the board's action.
I just want to state that I have read the administrative reports, and I do not have questions.
So we're moving on to the administrative reports. Does anybody?
May I ask a question about the administrative reports? Would you like them to not be so heavy on programming and outreach and in terms of what we're actually doing and the events of the library and and just speaking more to the outreach that I'm performing?
Oh, no, I like it all.
Okay.
I like to know, yeah, and as you're going to give us more of your stuff, you could also kind of maybe pare down some of this, like for instance, participant awards. You could just let us know they got awards, because this might become long, in some months. So, use your best judgment, but you don't have to let us know all of this. I mean,
Okay.
it's nice to,
This one was particularly long because it's summer reading.
yeah.
But I
mean,
can
it's
pare it down
yeah,
next year, for next
yeah.
year.
And it's nice to know because I've noted a lot of this stuff myself. So, and again, also, I think, this is so fun. When when you do the report, I think a lot, when you put it out there, you can just emphasize a few things and talk about a few things, and mostly probably your outreach. And if we have any questions on the others, then
Okay,
we'll let you know
okay.
and we can talk about it. I do want to hear about Saturday. I'm excited. I'm hoping I feel good because there's a lot going on.
There is. We're going to have food trucks. We are going to have different community organizations in the parking lot. It is a Renaissance themed event. So we're all dressing up in our interpretation of Renaissance. So it should be really interesting. So yeah, we're just going to have a whole lot of stuff going on, as you see there. And then, of course, Monday, the 15th, is our actual 60th anniversary. And so we are having another block party with vendors, and we will have someone making balloon animals. We're having a little bit of everything. And we'll all have shirts. We'll give out commemorative bags that we've made. And then at the end or at some point, and I don't know that we've necessarily determined when it's going to happen because of how hard the ground is and how long it's going to take us to, like, where's going to be the best place and how will that execution look best. But we will be burying our time capsule. So if you have anything that you'd like to put in there, please contribute and it will go in our time capsule to be opened probably at least 10 to 20 years from now.
I have a question
Mhm.
about Monday, this logistics,
Mhm.
because they are closing off, Roop Street?
Mm-hmm.
Is this going to be an issue? I'm just thinking of how many people are going to be coming in and trying to park and where they're going to park.
Do you mean
and all
the
that.
vendors and whatnot? They'll be
Mhm.
on the perimeter.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So they won't be taking up the parking spaces, the actual library parking spaces.
Okay. I noticed, okay. I also noticed there was a fair going on,
There's so much.
There's a
going on
carnival in
Saturday.
but
the,
there's also the state fair going on in Reno, and I thought, why are we having a carnival if there's a state fair?
I think there's an article, maybe it was in Carson Now or something, about why there's this two state fairs going on at the same time.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah,
Oh,
because
okay.
apparently there's, like, Reno actually has fairgrounds.
Yeah, yeah.
Carson doesn't have fairgrounds. So
yeah,
there's,
that's true. I've never thought of it.
well, Fuji Park
Yeah.
a little bit, but
And it's
Yeah.
only for one weekend. I just,
it's probably lack of communication.
it looks like two different groups are putting it on too, which is kind of funny.
Yeah.
I was just curious because I just saw the thing about Roop Street being closed, but maybe that's the 20th?
Well, it's not
maybe?
ideal.
Yeah.
But it is our 60th anniversary. So
I know we have to do it. I just
yeah.
feel bad.
I know.
Okay. All right. Is there anything you want to point to us?
I don't think so. Just the time capsule and actually, so one thing, yes, I think this is fun. On page 50, we did take a picture of the steins that we're going to be giving out. And those were recycled from an Oktoberfest event the Friends did like maybe 15 years ago or more. We found boxes of them in our Connex trailer. And so we are recycling them.
And how do you get those?
Those are going to be prizes for completion.
Oh, gotcha. How fun.
Yeah. So,
So
if we
they're
have them
glass?
left over.
They're actually glass.
Yes. And some of them are big and some of them are, some of them are like, if you're going to have a 24-ounce brewski or a 16-ounce brewski.
But no food trucks are serving beer, are they?
No. Well, and here's the thing is that how people are going to get them is we're having a mead making event. So non-alcoholic mead. But so that's going to be one of our stations. So people will get a stein when they come to make mead.
Now, did the Friends put on the festival or were they at,
The Oktoberfest.
is that what I remember the Oktoberfest.
Yeah.
I remember that.
So we found a bunch of
Oh,
steins
wow.
from that we decided to recycle.
Yeah, my son's best friend they had kids doing some German dancing. And he was one of them. I remember that. It was a jousting area. Oh, I can't wait to watch that.
And people can still sign up tomorrow as well, right?
You can sign up through the entire
The
duration,
entire
yeah.
Duration, yeah.
Oh, and one thing I would like to mention is that as of about 4 o'clock today, we had 300 signups already.
Good.
It's great.
Yeah, it's unprecedented. So hopefully we'll keep that up.
I'll have to go home and remember to, or maybe I'll do it right after the meeting so I remember.
Any questions about the financials or anything else?
I had no questions about the budgets.
Okay.
No questions? Then let's move on. Trustees, reports, announcements, and requests for information. Is there any announcements anyone wants to make? Is there anything anyone wants to see on the next agenda?
I'm curious about the 5-year plan. When was that coming? Not next month, but the month after? I can't remember what we said.
It's going to be approximately August because next month we have to talk about officers for the chair and vice chair.
Oh, we're voting, yeah, we're voting.
Yeah.
Has the announcement for vacancy been posted?
One has, but I don't think our second one has. I haven't heard anything, and they usually let me know. And
What
they usually
second- What second one?
to replace Trustee Lucas.
That's,
Trustee Spansale's reappointment what came up this year because she was filling in.
oh,
I did reapply. But I
Okay.
have yet to hear about the timeline on that.
it'll be confusing. They'll tell you you have to go, and then like the morning of
Yeah,
the
they'll
day,
call you and
they'll
say.
call you and say, no, you don't.
Okay, that's what I'm concerned about. I was, yeah, I'm hoping to get further clarification because I am going to be out of town for a significant chunk of this month.
The woman's name is Carrie. Is that what I'm remembering?
Yes, my request
you
for
would wanna
information was, who can I talk to about
You'd want to
that?
reach out to Alexis Philippi.
Okay.
She's the office manager who handles the posting of the volunteer opportunities
Great.
and things like that.
Yeah, we've chatted a few times. I'll
Yeah,
reach
I
back out
think
to
she
her.
might be who reached out to you, and she copied me on it, letting you know that you would be reappointed. And so, or did you receive that? Okay. Did you, because I know she sent it and it didn't get kicked back to your city address.
I checked my city address as of 5 p.m. today.
Really? Okay.
And I have
I'll-
not received anything, but I have had some issues with my city address, so
Okay.
I did want to just clarify
I'll
that I
check it
didn't
out
miss
and,
something.
yeah, I'll forward it to you and,
That'd be great.
yeah, because it says you'll be reappointed, et cetera.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I
Um,
would love that info.
Yeah, and I think they're probably going to do what they did for Trustee Lucas and just say, you're reappointed. You don't need to come in and be
Yeah, obviously, I
re-interviewed
don't
and-
want to miss that critical juncture. and
Yeah.
Yeah, because
we'll
they
be out
called
of
us
town
with
for a
the
while.
morning of the day before.
Yeah, something like that.
Really close to the time, because I know I had taken it off work, and then all of a sudden, and it wasn't Alexis who called me, I swear it was a girl named Carrie. And she worked for the mayor's office, and she
Yeah.
called me and
Yeah.
she goes,
Somebody
oh,
that-
I just found out that you don't have to show up.
So
Yeah.
I should try to talk to Alexis and make sure that.
Yeah, she would be
Yeah.
your best
Okay, great.
contact.
Thank
And
you.
she is in the executive office, which is the mayor, where
Yeah.
the mayor is located. Some things have changed with the process in the last few years,
Yeah.
so.
Want
yeah.
to make sure I'm dotting my I's and crossing my T's for sure.
But I'll be sure to forward that to you.
Thank you. I
Mm-hmm.
appreciate that.
Any announcements?
The Friends are having a parking lot sale tomorrow, on Saturday.
They are.
Yep, and it's gonna be, all hardback fiction will be 50% off.
Ooh, nice.
We're gonna have balloons. We're gonna have a lemonade stand.
Oh, fun.
Oh, I'm gonna see if I can bring my mom.
It's gonna be kind of, I mean, it's, I guess you'd call it a little low key, but the person who's organizing it is excited about doing it. and
Oh, that's good.
It'll be fun.
Well, it'll be the same time as the summer kickoff. So
Yeah,
there'll be
yeah.
all sorts of stuff going on.
Yeah.
So hopefully people will do both.
I did see the announcement because I'd sent it to Carson Now yesterday. And maybe I made a mistake, but it says 9 to 2. It's actually 10 to 2. But People will figure that out.
Maybe they'll come to the pancake breakfast while they're waiting for
Yeah,
y'all to
maybe.
open.
Yeah, there you go.
Is that going to be, are there tables inside, or is it all going to be outside?
It's
or-
all outside.
It's all outside.
Hmm.
I got to go pick up balloons. I don't know if I'll be able to come to the pancake breakfast, but
Okay, then I think we are on to public comments. Again, the public is invited at this time to provide comments on any topic that relates to a matter over which this public body has supervision. And again, I don't see anybody here. We don't have a call-in line. So I think we can adjourn.
Yay.
Yay.
Thank you. The long.